Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time for English news. We have for tonight headlines. Concerning Balbalako municipality, the Minister of Health inaugurates a new clinic in PK12. At the international level, France terrorist attack in Trèbes and Carcassonne, at least 3 dead. Welcome in our newsroom. Yesterday afternoon, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Al-Mu'akiye, proceeded to the inauguration of the polyclinic Gouled Hussein Gouled to PK12. The local youth came in large pomp to animate and run of traditional song and dances to brighten up this ceremony, which took place in a festive atmosphere and joy. The inaugural ceremony was held in the presence of the Minister Delegate, the Minister of Interior, Lord to the in charge of decentralization, Mr. Mohammed Aramis, the Director General of the General Director of CNSS, Hassan Roble, and the Mayor of Djibouti, Ms. Fatouma Awal Ousmane, and finally the President of the Balbala Municipality, Waber Nour Eleye. Also note was the presence of the Secretary General of Minister of Health, Dr. Saleh Benoit Turab, and many of the farm workers and of the Department of Health who participate with the local elected representative to this ceremony high in color. The Minister of Health and his delegation have been warmly welcomed by the inhabitants of PK12 and the surrounding district that have flowed massively to take part to this inaugural ceremony of the any second polyclinic in a series of 5 polyclinics which will see the day in the current month. It's also the the reference hospital with a new intermediate building which can provide benefits such as ophthalmology, stomatology, maternity and emergency services, radiology and ENT. These polyclinics provide a specialized service through the strengthening of quality of the offers of care and the improvement of the access and the proximity of health care specialized for the more needful of the population. The Minister of Health and his guests have conducted a cut of the ribbons from symbolic to sing in a unison the national anthem and of our country. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Al-Mu'akiye, in the first place thanked the population of PK12 for their home, and the second participate in maize to decide of the staff of health. During the interventions of the Minister of Health has explained the importance of such a project which is going to this dangerous great reference hospital, with including the opening of new specialty service such as ophthalmology, stomatology, maternity and emergency service, radiology and ENT. The Minister of Health and his delegation, Dr. Jama Al-Mu'akiye, and his delegation have subsequently conducted a guided tours of this jewel brand new under the conduct of the chief physician, Dr. Warsama, who has presented the different service of the polyclinic Gouled Mohammed Gouled. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Al-Mu'akiye, has spent as well to review all the service that make up this polyclinic in pacing by the maternity, which has equipment of investigations and exploration technology equipment, spikes, several beds of hospitalizations and a room of confinement. The Minister of Health has in his speech recalled that the advent of this motherhood respond to the instructions of the First Lady, Ms. Khadra Mohammed Haid. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Al-Mu'akiye, these guests have continued their visit of this to their other services such as radiology laboratory and stomatology. The polyclinic has a qualified and motivated staff to serve in the best condition the population that will be served by this new polyclinic, which is a first of its kind. The National Office of Waters and Sanitation of Djibouti ONIAD celebrated yesterday the World Day of Water, which the theme chosen the year is Solutions for Water based on the natures. The direction of the ONIAD has made as some two coasts have inaugurated the all of home that the interests ONIAD renovate and restore with a new standings. There celebrated the World Day for Water with the main theme Solution for Water basis on the natural. It is true that its new view of the galloping drought and the groundwater is terrible, that it's arise and CNAs everywhere through the war. It was decided at the level ever the highest governing body to regulate the use of the water, any in adopting adequate solutions based on green energy, as we indicate in the theme. It must be stressed that a project of purification of water plant is being put in place seen to find solutions to eradicate the thirst and irrigate the agricultural land. For his part, during the World Days of the Water, the Minister of Agriculture and Fishery, the water has to insist for the importance of the sound management of the water, so to preserve its quality by adopting adequate solutions through the green energy, which allows to avoid pollutions of the water and the depletions of groundwater. He has also clarified that it's been to manage the party not only hardware of the water but also the intangible parts. A signing ceremony of the PV of the discussion is on the preparatory studies of the project for the improvement of the national road took place yesterday in the meeting rooms of the Department of Transport. The project consists of the rehabilitation of the first sections of the national route, which gives from Galafi to Yoboki at 20 kilometers with funding from the government of Japan through the JICA. The signing ceremony took place between the Director General of the National Agency for Road by the Acting Director General Hussein Usman Burale and the head of the missions of the JICA, Mr. Tanaka Kenshiro. The meeting was chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Said Nuh, and the Acting Director General of Mr. Hussein Usman Burale, and saw the participation of the Director General of Bilateral Relationship, Mr. Yassin Hussein Douale, who represented the Department of Foreign Affairs, and the head of the missions of the JICA, Mr. Tanaka Kenshiro. The mission of JICA, conducted by Tanaka Kenshiro, will carry out a preparatory study of the project for the improvement of the national roads, which will last a month in Djibouti. A delegation led by a young colonel, accompanied by the commanders of the ports of Djibouti and the commander of the port of Tajura and the general director of safety of Djibouti, hosted by the prefect Abdul Malik Mohammed Benoita. A delegation is there to validate the sensitive access to the port of Tajura, so we can return the certificate of conduct marine, so that the port is actively international, so that the posters that came to not say that this part does not respect the validation certificate, to validate the places that will allow the ships and to entities that will use the maritime infrastructure in Djibouti to be an international standard. Welcome. The delegation distinguished the hope of the port of Tajura will effectively be the recruitment is ongoing because the youth today every hour spirited undergo the tests to morality, and some these young people will be effective. They will work here in Tajura. The prefect of Tajura, Mr. Abdul Malik Muhammad Banuta, has for his part explained in an interview. He said today I can say that it is a great day in the directions of port was inaugurated. The direction of port was regulated by the president since some months. The presence today of the high safe responsible effects very some the ports will be operational. Why today they are there to testify the ships that are going to come here, that the port of Tajura respect the international standard in them safe, in the secure, and that all the conditions which they connected. The most important thing it is to show that this port respects the safe standards of a lot of ships will come here and will be active. In the framework of the sport cooperations between the federations of the Djiboutian Federation of Athletics and Company of Bemoudish, the Federation of Athletics has received here on the parts of this company a lot of trophy dedicated to the givings of trophy to the athlete winners of the 3-round international meetings of Djibouti, which will take place on 13 May. The ceremony of these donations was held within the company Bibi Modish, and saw the participation of the Director General of this company and acting President of the Federations of Djiboutian Federation of Athletics. This year's the 3 international meeting of Djibouti will see the participations of international athletes from countries, brothers and friends such as Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Burundi, Egypt and Bahrain. Remember that this meeting of athletes of our homeland won the different axes. In an interview, the acting president of the federation, Mr. Saeed Yassin, has recalled the importance of this race. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport encouraged the entrepreneurship of young people in the framework of a young volunteers was allowed the openings of gym within the CDC of the District 4 is Mr. Ahmed Abdi, who work as a voluntary facilitator to the CDC. Affect a small salary he has carefully spared during 8 months that he has worked, and with the help of his family was able to purchase of equipment in gymnastics. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamil, wanted to therefore encourage this beautiful initiative of the young men by allowing him to use some of the rooms of CDC, and thus is able to exercise activity generators of revenue. The inauguration of ceremony of the room therefore took place yesterday in the presence of the Chief of Service, Mr. of Follow-up of CDC, Mr. Ahmed Ali Ahmed, the Director of the CDC of District 4, Mr. Hamza Ahmed Hussein, the facilitators and the Hall of Remembers Community Council of the centers, and of course the young Ahmed Abdi. And its intervention is the health of the service has first transmitted to the young people the congratulations of encouragement and Secretary of State, and then recalled the importance of the promotion and development of youth in the ease of President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Magele, which has made young youth in his priority. And concerning the international scene, Theresa May has welcomed the move of European Union's leaders to approve in transitions agreement by Brexit in 2 days summit in Brussels. Listen to this report.
May has welcomed the move by European Union leaders to approve a transition agreement for Brexit at a 2-day summit in Brussels. Until 21-month transition period between March 2019 and the end of the 2020 was reached earlier this week. The European Council President and Chairman of the summit, Donald Tusk, said European Union leaders had included the transition offer as they formally adopted their joint negotiating stance on a future trade relationship with Britain. The guidelines were quickly approved on Friday, paving the way for the next phase of Brexit talks to get underway. The British Prime Minister said before leaving Brussels that she believed the transition provided certainty for business and citizens, and that a deal on future UK and European Union ties should benefit both sides. She called for a new dynamic in talks and said she believed there was a new spirit of cooperation and opportunity.
Suspect in hostage situation shot dead by police. Gunman was shot dead after bursting into the supermarket in the southwest of France and taking this inside as hostage, said the police. Listen once again to this report.
Gunman was shot dead after bursting into a supermarket in southwest France and taking those inside as hostage, said police at a press conference in Trapeze. Colomb said the suspect first hijacked a car into southern city of Carcassonne before heading to Trapeze. He then burst into a supermarket in Trapeze near Carcassonne, and that's when the national police intervened. Colomb confirmed the suspect in the hostage situation killed 3 people, 1 during the car hijacking and 2 in the supermarket. One of the police officers voluntarily traded himself for one of the hostages and stayed with the hostage taker. It was the act of hero, he said. Colomb identified the hostage taker as 26-year-old Ridwan Lekedim, who was known to police for petty crime but was not considered radicalist. The minister believes Lekedim acted alone. ICL claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement but did not include evidence. The interim minister did not confirm the names of the victims.
This is it for tonight's news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.